You just click the button. I can show you just like that. I always tell you guys that use yourself as your own stock photography models. Shoot over your shoulder, shoot your hands, doing things, touch it, whatever. Like, that's the easiest way to create authentic lifestyle content without having to hire models. Lately, I've been getting a ton of questions about how do I photograph myself? What kind of lights do I use? How do I set the camera? And all these things. A lot of these questions came from my stock photo challenge, a 2-minute video thing where I walked around the room finding ideas. By the way, quite a few of these photos have been selling. The fire extinguisher, messy cables, and the lighting, the breaker panel. All of those photos have been selling quite a bit. The best thing is that on most of the agencies, they haven't even been accepted yet. They're still pending review. Now, let's get into the gear, the lighting, the camera settings, and all this stuff that I use to get these results. For these self-portraits, I usually use the 50mm 1.4 or the 15-35 2.8 that's on the camera right now. However, I rarely shoot wide open. For stock, I think a deeper depth of field is usually better. So I'm typically shooting on like f8 to f10. But if you have logos or text in the background that you don't want to clone out later, I'll shoot up to like f7 or 5.6 to let the background just blur so I don't have to do that much work in Photoshop. Just remember that the wider your focal length is, the more is going to stay in focus. So if you're shooting a 50mm at f2.8, you're gonna get more in focus than if you shot a 50mm f7. Anyway, for all of these photos, I use speed lights, and I've been using the newer Z2 and the Z3. They're portable, plenty of power for indoors, and they're lightweight. I like that. For inside, it's easy, and for that, I use a trigger. I have the Pro Q trigger from Newer or the QZ. And they both do fantastic. This one's a little smaller. The flashes have plenty of power. I set it up on this S-type bracket for round head flashes. There we go. This is my main light. This is gonna be the Z3. And because it is my main light, I want some soft light. So I use that with a softbox. This one has a grid. This is a 90 centimeter softbox, I believe. There you go. This is very similar to the one I'm using up here right now. Let me see if we can see it. There we go. See, it's also on a grid. That way the light is directional and it goes where I need it to go. Now, I like using the modifier because it gives me better quality light. It's softer light, it looks more professional. Literally, one light with the softbox is most of what I use for these photos. I like putting the light between 90 and 180 degrees, or between 45 and 180. Right here, this one, you can see the shadows. It's a 45 degrees, I mean. Literally right here. So there's a camera, 45, 90 will be over here, which will give me a different type of shadow on this side. So anyway, that's what I try to do, is place the light between that area, 45 to 180, so it can direct the light, give me shadows, give me a little bit more of a shape. Sometimes I use a backlight on the opposite side of this light for separation. Like you see my shoulder, this shoulder right here, it's got a little bit of light there. That's that light that I have over there. It does the same thing. Kind of went off track there. Now for that day, for that photo shoot, I used the Z3. That was the only flash I used except for the interior or the refrigerator, which I used the Z2. I put this inside of the refrigerator to light up the inside and my face, and I had the softbox with the Z3 to a side to light me up. Now, for video, I switched to a COB light, the FS300C by Newer, which is this one I have right here. It's 300 watt, and I pair it with the LED like I showed you before, the one that's over there, to create that separation and give me a little bit of a light here that's a little bit different. And also, same angles, 45 degree opposite, or just like that, just to create that balance in your photo, if you will. Now, the biggest question I get is, how do I click the shutter? I'm not running back and forth with the 10-second timer like I used to, which I actually did. I used to use a light stand like this, pre-focus, because once you set the timer, it's either gonna hunt for focus or you're gonna miss it. So I would set a stand here, click the picture, or I would set a stand here, pre-focus, click the 10-second timer, get rid of the stand in place, and get the photo that way. That was a lot of work, and I don't recommend it. Today, I'm using this $30 wireless remote for Canon. I'm sure every manufacturer has something for their cameras. The wireless remote works fantastic, and it just saves me that running around. Yes, modern cameras have an app. Canon has the Camera Connect app that works on their phone, on your cell phone. And it's just not that fantastic. It's frustrating. Sometimes you're in the middle of a shoot and it freezes. It was too much of a pain, so I just switched for the remote. It's way more reliable. By the way, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the gear I'm using, I'm gonna put some links in the video description. As far as focus, compositions, when you can't see your flip screen on the camera, especially when you're shooting over your shoulder, I use a field monitor. Right now I'm using the newer F700 along with the very long cable. That way I can stand in front of the camera and see exactly what the camera is looking at. I can see myself here. I can tell that if I stand here, that looks pretty good. That's in focus, it's lit up, it's, you know. So I can work with this. I can set it out of frame. Just gonna go right here so you don't see it. And now I can take the photo with the remote. If I need to use my hands, I use my mouth as a trigger. I can just click the button. So, here's like that. I can show you. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, let me put this over here again. If you're not seeing my face, chances are I'm clicking that remote with my mouth. If I need to use my hands and you see my face, then I can set the 2-second timer on the remote. That gives me a chance to click, drop it, and then put my hands where they needed to be. Now, when I'm indoors in the studio, I want to kill the ambient light. I want to shut all the lights off because I want full control. So my shutter speed is going to be 1/200th of a second, so that any light in here is not going to affect my flashes. The only light I'm going to go in my photos are going to be my flashes. So 200th of a second, aperture of f10, and ISO anywhere from 100 to 400. My Canon R5 has better dynamic range at 400 ISO than it does at 200. So I jump straight from 1 to 4 if I need more light. If you find this technical stuff a bit overwhelming, this is exactly what I cover in my photography course. I've condensed 15 years of experience into over 50 easy to follow lessons. Whether you're a pro or a beginner, there's something in there for you. The link is in the video description. Now, let's get back to the video. When you're indoors at f10, 200th of a second, ISO 100, the photo's gonna be pitch black. You're not gonna see anything if you don't have a flash, and that's the goal. Now, all we have to do is adjust the flashes to match the camera. I usually start with my main light, the one in the softbox, at half power. Remember, the softbox is gonna eat about 2 stops of light. And if I'm using a second light as a rim light, I'll set it way lower because it's not in a softbox. Then you take a test shot and you adjust and go from there. Again, like I said before, for the refrigerator scene, I used the back of the fridge to bounce the light. So the flash was aiming into the refrigerator, the white back of the refrigerator, and bounced that light that not only lit up the whole inside of the fridge, but it also lit me. I aimed the flash at the back and I set it to wide zoom on the flash. This one I believe goes to 28mm, the Z2, which will spread out and come back even wider, which gives me softer and just a better quality light. And I do the same thing with this one in the softbox. I set it to wide because then it goes in, bounces, comes back, and goes out. And I just think it looks good that way. Now, for video, I mentioned that I use the FS300. That is a 300 watt COB light, also with a softbox. And you can see that the light is soft, and I'm also using the grid on it so that there's not much spill light onto the background. If you want more light in the background, you can just take the grid off. It's literally Velcro. Let me show you here. You see how much more light is in the background now? And that's literally just that grid. I like it on me better when I'm filming videos for YouTube, but when I'm doing something for stock, sometimes I want more of that to have some light. Now, the rules change a little bit when you shoot in video, and we follow the 180-degree shutter rule. When your shutter speed should be double of that of your frame rate. So if you're videoing at 24 frames a second, I set my shutter speed at 1/50th of a second. If I'm at 60 frames a second, that's 1/125th of a second, and slow-mo at 120 frames per second, I set the camera at 2/50th of a second or more. I don't make the rules. I honestly don't know who made them, but that's what most TV shows and movies use, so might as well do what works for others. For video, I like the slower shutter speeds, like the 1/50th of a second, because it gives me more available light. Now, the ISO does the same thing. It fills in where you need it. And I use it anywhere between ISO 100 and ISO 800. Video is a little bit different than photos, but really not that much. I did a scene here in this room, one of the photos when I was scrubbing the floor, and I wanted window light to come through, so I opened the blinds, and you could see that it was brighter outside. I didn't want to burn the outside, the highlights, so I let natural light come in, and I had to change my camera to f4. Now, I also dropped my shutter speed to a 50th of a second. This allowed the natural light to fill in the room so that the flash wasn't the only light here and then everything else was dark. That's using the flash to fill in your subject while the natural light fills the scene. That's what I was trying to do anyway, and that worked because one of those photos with the yellow gloves had already sold this morning. Now this also gives me the option to use a slower shutter speeds to do motion blur. So you can show movement and then the flash will freeze the action. You'll get that shutter drag, I guess you want to call it. But it's actually the same settings that would have used for video. Now why go through all this trouble with setting up lights and all this stuff and multiple lights and shutting off the overhead lights? And that's a question I get asked a lot, but there's two different reasons here, or many reasons, but my two favorite reasons is control and quality. When you use overhead lighting like that, you can't control the direction of the shadows or highlights. So you're gonna get dark circles under your eyes because the light is top down. So you're gonna get weird, it just looks weird, and highlights in all the wrong places. Also, many cheap light bulbs cause flicker or banding. You'll see in videos, you'll see lines going up and down, and in photos, you'll see darker areas. I guess I just want more control over how I do things, but anyway, this is my workflow. It's not the only way, but it's what's been working for me and what's been selling for me. If this video helped you at all, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.